Hi everyone, welcome to Yes I Am podcast. My name is Arman and I'm your host. This is a Yes I Am special edition. We'll be doing an edition with ASOSU presidential candidates. Uh, please make sure to watch the both of the episodes so you will have an understanding of the point of view of the both candidates, and you can make a better decision. And today's not today's, but our guest today is Kerner, the candidate for ASOSU president. But before we have our interesting and exciting conversation with Kerner, I would like to, as always, tell you all why we do what we do. So Yes I Am founded in 2019 with a mission to build a generation of extraordinary leaders and discomfort seekers. We create a community for OSU students to find their why and step out of their comfort zone. Here at Yes I Am, our why wakes us up every morning to seek discomfort. We wake up inspired and confident to work hard. We love what we do. And we know failure is a part of the game. So we fail and we learn. And we fail and we just keep learning. We go to bed at night knowing that today was better than yesterday. And tomorrow will be a brand new day. There is nothing we can do or be because our why is stronger than any challenge. We are positive thinkers, we are givers, and we are absolutely grateful. Yes I Am is our lifestyle, and we are Yes I Am. Again, welcome to Yes I Am podcast. This is a special edition with ASOSU presidential candidate. Before we get started, I want to introduce you all to Kerner, one of the candidates. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Great to have you. So we always start with your why. So Kerner, what is your why and why you do what you do?
Well, I guess I'm running because when I got to OSU this year, there's a lot of, it's in the midst of the COVID crisis, and a lot of the problems that I saw and experienced like firsthand, they weren't addressed fully, or they weren't tackled in the right way. And, my example for this is I got a lease in June for my apartment, and I thought we're going to have in-person classes, but the school administration only really said, hey, everything's going to be online like a month in advance. And so that was like in August, but I already got my lease and I could have stayed at home and saved a lot more money. And so there's problems like that I see, and, they're not addressed properly. And I would kind of want to go into the ASOSU president position and try and tackle some of those things. So.
Fantastic. Well, we would like to get to know you a little bit better, so it will help the OSU community, OSU students to have a better understanding of who Kerner is. And so what I would like to know about you is, what is your story outside of ASOSU? What is your story?
Right. Well, I got to OSU, and I was very curious when I got here, and so I wanted to join. I just joined a bunch of things. I started with the soccer club for last year, and I'm starting again this year. I joined ASOSU. I was a House representative for a while, and I joined a bunch of other clubs like fencing. I did a finance club for a while, and I did. I was going to join BattleBots, but I'm joining. I also want to join real estate. But so I moved around a lot, and I gained the perspective from a lot of different places. And one of the other places that I got a perspective from this year is Greek life and what happened there, and kind of like where they succeeded and where they failed. And I want to take all these perspectives that I've kind of gained and from the people I talked to there and say, hey, I got these problems. I want to go and take it to ASOSU and try and at least solve some of them and help out the OSU community in that way.
So Kerner, think about the time that you were probably around 10 years old. 10 to 12
Mhm.
years old, who did you think Kerner will be in college? What would Kerner do? You know, what were you thinking when you were more of in like middle school and high school about your future life?
Oh, that's a good one. I thought I would be going down the medical track, to be honest. My mother was just became a nurse, and she was kind of inspiring me to do that. And I have a kind of like I find injuries interesting. I know that sounds weird, but from like a medical standpoint, like how do you fix this? You know, it's like a puzzle, and you got to like put it together, and you have to solve it. And where a lot of people get grossed out by like a cut, I'm kind of like interested, like, oh, you know, how do you know, is it a band-aid? Is it like stitches type? You know, what's the solution to this? And in order to accomplish that, I thought I was going to become a like bioengineer because it's like I thought a technical degree going into medical school would be pretty good. And bioengineering kind of accomplishes both of those. And so when I was kind of like 10, I was thinking, you know, I'll become like a bioengineer, blah, blah, blah. And then kind of a jump into medical school. So yeah, that was really early on, honestly. My dad was an electrical engineer and he kept pushing a technical degree. Like, oh, you should get something that like in STEM where you can just really, you know, learn a lot of these these techniques for either in mathematics or, you know, increase your knowledge on chemistry and so on. And my mother was really pushing like, oh, you should go into like med school and, you know, try and help people and do this and that. And so I thought the compromise was like in the middle with the bioengineering, which would let me do both. So
Yeah,
for me.
sounds like your parents had a very big impact on your
Oh
like
yeah.
right
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
Um, is there some are there some like main lessons or like values that you learned from your parents that you still till this day you still try to keep them and like kind of believe based on those values?
Yeah, there's two. There's one is I had to finish everything I had to eat. My dad lived in Africa for a while, and he would, you know, whenever I didn't want to finish something, he was like, you know, I saw these kids, they're really hungry, and, you know, you're not eating your food, and that's kind of disappointing. But the more like another one that my father like implemented into me was uh, like don't half-ass two things, just whole-ass one. I don't know if you've heard that quote before, but I had the thing where for a while when I was younger, I would want to do kind of like hang out with everyone. You know, like
Mhm.
oh, someone invited me to go to the movies, and then someone, you know, invited me to go get dinner or whatnot, and then I have to go hang out with my family, and I wanted to do all of them, but like time wise, it's kind of impossible because you have to get there, you have to go do the event, and then go to the next place, and I'd often find myself trying to float between all the events. And so, you know, my father said, like, you know, don't like just set it up so that you do one thing, and then if you got time, you can do another thing. Don't try and do everything. And so that's the one thing that I really kind of stick with to today is that if I'm going to try and do something, try and finish that before trying to do everything else, you know,
That's
instead
a
of
very
instead of just finishing it like halfway and then trying to go to something else. Just doesn't work.
uh I can relate to that. I mean it's not the same exact thing, but my dad always told me whatever you want to do, choose it and then be
Mhm.
the best at it first
Right.
till you go to move on to next thing, you know, because then you
Mhm.
cannot do so many stuff, you know, and then
Right.
if it was like that, we had someone that was engineer, doctor, lawyer, and all of this.
Mhm.
But you know, we're all different people and different specialties. So that's very interesting. You know, the next thing I want to like you a little bit touch base on it's kind of a vision and an imagination of very long time, very far from now in future. Um, because you're a freshman at OSU right now, right?
No, I'm a sophomore.
Oh, you're a sophomore. Okay.
Yeah. I'll
So
be a junior if I were to get in.
so you know, I love to ask this question about your future self.
Mhm.
And the reason is it's we always got to begin with the first in mind, begin with the end in mind.
Mhm.
And that what it means is basically, if you want to become that person in the future, you got to start imagining about that person right now and figuring out how can you become that person. What are the paths and why do you?
Yeah, no, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. So the question is, it's very far. It's very far. But you're 80 years old, or
Oh,
we are
really?
celebrating, your 80th birthday. It's very far, but let's imagine that day together. Okay. So it's your 80th birthday and you're at home. Your children, your kids are there, everyone, your best friends are there. And then for your 80th birthday, your kids decide to, I mean, I call them kids, but by then they're probably 30, 40, but let's say kids.
Mhm.
They decide to give you a letter. They all
Right.
decide to like write a letter about our dad and what our
Mm,
dad mean
right.
to ourselves. So what do you want to that letter to say, Kerner?
I don't know if this sounds cheesy or not, but I'd really like it to say that I've affected some people's lives for the better. Um, I I switched my major to education because I want to become a teacher later on in the future. I thought, instead of like my one of my major goals when I want to go into med school is like, I get to help people in that in that career field. And but I thought, I enjoy working with kids and the youth, and I could see that myself doing that for the rest of my life. I mean, I've been doing it for the past what 8 years already, and so I've already have experience in it. I kind of know what I'm going to get into, and so I thought, I'll just switch my majors. It's a little easier, and I can get out of school faster and start working faster. And but in that sense, I find it enjoyable, but I also want to like kind of touch people in a sense, like here, and change their lives. And so, I would hope that on my, if I were ever to get a card that's like, I've made a difference in someone's life, not just my own.
I mean, that's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how people respond to this question very differently.
Right.
And this is a question I love to ask people to kind of, and the reason is two different things. One is to first inspire people that watch, and the second reason is for you to kind of start imagining that day and how would that
Hmm.
day look like for you. So we start
Yeah.
acting in certain actions so you can become that person.
Hmm.
Um, so let's a little bit dig deep and like kind of talk about your journey till
Hmm.
now, if you would like to pick a challenge or pick something that happened in the past that was very impactful for you to kind of like to become the person who you are right now, what would that be?
I think getting my Eagle Scout. I was a Boy Scout back in the day, and in order to get to the top, like the highest rank, you have to do a project for this. And usually that project is like you go out and you try and better your community, and like it's usually like in a physical way, like, hey, I built this, or I added like what 300 books to the library, and so on. And my project is I built a set of stairs in a park so that people like don't slip on the hill when they walk up, especially when it's wet. And, like, we live in Oregon, it's always wet. And so I built a set of stairs there, but I had to get the materials for it. I had to like organize the people to come help out. I had to set the time and schedule, and I had to like set the incentives, which was food, so people would come and help out with their community. And it was interesting trying to pull these pull all these pieces together into one coherent project. And that it's interesting because that kind of stuck with me today. And I I do that now when I try and organize like events with my friend groups. I have to pull this together, I have to pull that together. And I just have to put them all into one nice puzzle. And yeah, that's probably the one thing that in the past that's really shaped me. It's really helped my organizational skills when it comes to like, working with people and whatnot.
It really sounds like that you're actively trying to create a community,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So what does a community mean to you, and why is it important for all of us to be part of a community? As someone that actively tries to create a community, what does it mean to you?
I feel like a community is a group of people who are connected one way or another, and that could be like going to the same university. You can relate to an OSU student probably more so than you can relate to a U of O student. Maybe it's people in your city, the town you live in. Maybe it's people who are in, let's say, a church group, or people who are on your sports team. They're all connected in one way or another, and at the end of the day, you wish them kind of like the best, and that they kind of like succeed and thrive because they're connected to you, at the end of the day. And for me, that kind of really stands out. It's like, hey, I'm wearing the OSU colors or OSU shirt and whatnot, and I see another guy wearing that as well. It's like, hey, that's my school, and yeah, and I guess, I mean, I moved from like Tualatin to here, which is like my hometown. It's really close to Portland, but it's like, I kind of want to, I worked with Tualatin. I wanted to make that like the best city I could make it. And I come here, I was like, I want to make OSU the best school I can, make it. And yeah, it's just kind of my philosophy on community.
That's very true, and we always, I feel like when we come to a new place, a new city, or coming to college, the first thing we're looking for is someone to connect to,
Right.
because we want to feel belonged, right?
Oh yeah, and that's the one trouble I had this year with a lot of stuff being online. It was hard to connect with clubs and like interest groups that I was interested in. And I know that Stella had problems with that as well. One group that I tried to join was College Democrats. And that was interesting because I never got a response email. And I tried like two different, like I went to try to go to their Facebook page, and then like that wasn't updated. And it took me like what, a month and a half to get a response back. And it was, yeah. And so I'm especially thinking of like freshmen this year who are going to OSU, is that they don't have a lot of this, like a lot of the tools and equipment to join, clubs and get invested into their school and, inadvertently into their community. Yeah. And that's something that I guess it didn't sit right. It didn't sit right for me. And that was something I would like to tackle or moving forward. And that's, again, goes back to the COVID response, is that it's because everything's online, all the resources have to be put online as well. A lot of clubs would just they would go around campus and hand out flyers, or they'd set up a table, but you can't do that anymore. You can't promote in the traditional sense. And the online aspects have not been updated to like the standards that we need. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, the COVID has been a interesting time
Mhm.
So we actually, the first podcast that we did was about what did we learn? What can we learn from 2020?
Mhm.
As a year of that, it's very, very centered around isolation and being
It's not
removed
fun.
at home, you know. It's
Yeah.
it was a lot, man. It was
Mhm.
a lot, but at the same time, I feel like we are the only generation, or one of the few generations that will ever experience such a thing like this, to like be at home for a couple months and like cannot go anywhere.
Yeah.
So as always I say is there are times, there are experiences that we gotta make sure we learn from them, you know.
Mhm.
So it's very important for OSU, for anyone to figure out, okay, what is only one thing at least that we can learn from this pandemic and being at home, you know.
Mhm.
um Kerner, one of the things I love to ask is about challenges that people face, you know, about the
Yep.
challenges that you face. Tell us one of the biggest challenges you ever faced in your journey till now, and how did you overcome it?
I think that I don't want to say it's the biggest challenge, but it's the one that's the most recent and like hit me the hardest.
Yeah.
Um, like the biggest challenge like that I have experienced recently was when I changed my major, and
Mhm.
I guess I had the guilt of not letting, like, kind of like letting my parents down because they both seem to have a path for me, but at the end of the day, it's not the path I wanted to take, and I had to come to terms with that. And the thing that I had to grapple with was, do I do what other people have, set up for me, or do I try and make my own, do my own, actions, have my own future, plan this out on my own? And I guess that was the point where I want to say I gained mental independence. It's like, you know what? I have this own plan for my life. These are the steps I'm going to take to do it, so on. And so that was a challenge that I guess I faced, um, like internally. But it was rough because it was, again, I was like thinking of this for like 10 years. I'm going to become a bioengineer, go into med school, blah, blah, blah. And I that all had to change in like a couple months. And it was a it was a fight about, like, not a fight, but it was a struggle of um, like identity at that point.
No, I understand. Yeah, that's, the reason I asked this is basically because we all gotta understand. We all gotta
Mhm.
understand that these low moments in life just happen, and the challenges that we face could be emotionally. Which sounds
Mhm.
like the challenge you were facing was emotionally as well,
Yeah.
to certain points. And but we gotta understand that this happened to everyone,
Mhm.
and if we know that, that will make things easier to deal with.
Mhm.
And as I say, life is ups and downs, and anywhere you go down, that's a challenge, and that's the challenge you have. In a challenge, you have two options: giving up or figuring out and going up for a bigger prize. And anytime you go up, anytime you overcome a challenge or you learn from a challenge, you're gonna go higher for a better
Mhm.
prize and bigger prize. So it's very important to always learn from what we face in our lives. Um, I want to ask you this one last thing. We're approaching the end of the podcast. Kerner, what if you want to think about from your journey, from your whole journey till now, if you want to think about one lesson that you've learned that was very impactful to you, and you think people that are watching this,
Mhm.
people that are watching this episode, will definitely benefit from, what would that
Yeah.
be?
Ooh, your actions have consequences. That's an interesting one. Um, that's something that I've kind of experienced with friends recently, where and like throughout my life, if I touch the stove while it's on, it's going to burn me. um, but it gets more and more subtle as you grow up. You say this one thing, and then someone like takes it this way. They understand it like this, and they start thinking down this track. And then you said, "Oh, I just said this, so I'm going like, this is what I meant. This is what they understood." And or you try and like, let's say, for in the ASOSU sense, you try and pass legislation, and you know you want to pass this legislation for this reason, but then someone understands like, oh, this guy's trying to pass it for that. And it's interesting because when you try and set something up or do something, it doesn't necessarily always seem like what you're trying to do to other people. And that's one thing that I guess that's one of the biggest things that I had to learn in life throughout my journey, as you mentioned. And it's definitely caused me to have a lot of problems in my past, because I'm trying to solve this, and this is this, I want to take this action. However, that action looks like something else to someone, to a different group of people. And yeah, I think that's the one. Your actions have consequences, and not necessarily the ones that you think are going to happen.
Fantastic, Kerner. I want to give you this opportunity to talk to people, that, first of all, I want you to inspire people to vote. At the same time, I want you to talk to people that are undecided and they don't know who to vote for, and talk to them about your campaign and what you are trying to do.
Yeah, so my campaign is basically, it's called Make OSU Home. And the big thing about that was when Stella and I went home for like winter break for the first time, basically after the first term, we got into our parents' house and it was like, something feels off. I don't really feel like I feel like a guest here. And it was kind of, when we got back to OSU, it was like, hey, OSU has all our friends are here, all our classes are here, like our purpose is at OSU, and OSU kind of became our home in a sense. And that's something that I kind of want to spread to the students around me, is that, hey, you're going to be here for a while. This is going to be your home. And I guess I want to tackle the problems to make OSU, more homely in a sense, and try and make it more comfortable for students to live and attend here. And whether that has to be through COVID regulations, I still want to improve the experience of the student. And home actually stands for, it's like an acronym for honesty, opportunity, mental health, and experience. And with the honesty, I was like, I see with the administration, they didn't bring up the fact that we're going to have all online classes, and it would have been nice to know prior. And that would have been a good, like, honest thing to do, is say, hey, we don't know, so we're just going to not have classes online, or not classes in person, we're just going to do all online. And that would have definitely been much more helpful, especially for students who are sophomores, juniors, seniors this year, who got a lease and necessarily need to. The opportunity aspects, that's like, we want to give people the chance to join their interest groups, and we want to give people the chance to find the clubs they want to join like ASOSU, join perhaps Greek life, or get other job opportunities, like perhaps in UHDS, so that you can get some money, which is definitely important during college. And but we want to open those doors, especially when COVID's closed so many. And the biggest thing we can do is update a lot of the websites and try to make them more user-friendly. A lot of them are outdated, unfortunately, especially like clubs and whatnot. And the one that we have, there's like a OSU website where they're all centralized. A lot of the links don't work anymore to go to the clubs, and that's something we want to fix. so that people can actually get engaged in their university. Similar thing with fraternities and sororities is, they don't have the OSU chapter websites. They've got maybe the national one, but you can't really get to know what is at OSU. You get to know what's on the national level in Greek life, not what you have in your community. And so that's one thing that we would like to change as well. And, the mental health aspect is very important, especially in college. I was looked at a video like UCLA, at 12 a.m. they have all the students open up their window and scream because, they're like during like midterm season, because they're all so stressed. And, I'm looking at that like, oh, I know some students here, some of my friends and some of the people I talk to, they're really bogged down during midterms and like finals, and they're really stressing over like their grade and all these things. And now on top of that, they can't really go to their, I would say their social groups where they can release some of that stress. Now they have to be isolated and maybe do it through Zoom, which it's not as effective. And so like mental health is definitely something we want to tackle in our year if we were to serve. And it goes along with like the CAPS website. It's similar to like the clubs and Greek life. CAPS is like where you can go to the OSU, the OSU provided mental health services, but that's also kind of hard to use, and their app that they have doesn't necessarily work super well. And like even then, you're a college student, you're here, you can't really go there in person. The only way you can do it is online. The online version doesn't work. It's pretty frustrating. And I just would like to either update it or, like create something new that people can use, or maybe like link them to the resources that they need. That's a big thing. And then finally, I guess the experience is, your time here, you might join a club and whatnot, or you might join your interest group, but, it's not as fun. It's not as fun as everything gets shut down. And we would like to, keeping in mind COVID regulations, still create some activities on campus or like online that you can do, like whether it be like the Super Bowl, you're kind of, trying to guess how much each team's going to win, and you can do like a forum online and then see who wins and what, like who would win with the estimation, stuff like that. You can get more engaged and do more stuff on, or like have a badminton tournament where you have like a partner and then, you go against two people, and you can do that on campus. It's under a group of 6, it's a group of 4. And your distance, badminton's, you're meant to be like standing away from the person. And it's a game. It's also a game you can play with like masks. You're not panting. You're not like doing extreme cardio. And it's like stuff like that I think that could definitely be possible at OSU, but it's not being done. Those are just examples. There's some couple other ones I have kind of brewing in my head, but you got to. We're handed a set of rules, and you obviously got to follow them for the people's, like, everyone's safety. But like with these rules, like what can we do with them? And I don't see that happening at our university. The only one, there is one exception. The only one that I've seen with my own eyes is our music, College of Music, and how they play outside of the SEC, and they have everyone spaced out in their chairs. They've got their own stands that they like bring home now, because giving the band director the stand, it's like, if you're sick, you can give it to them. But they took the proper procedures to keep doing what they always, what they wanted to do, which is, play music. For sure. And a lot of things got shut down, whereas we have this, this group that's following all the rules. They found ways to cope, and I'm just kind of curious why other groups haven't done that. So.
Fantastic, Kerner. Yeah, thank you for sharing. As our last thing, we call ourselves Yes I Am because you can put any word in front of it and be that person. Mm-hmm. What is your choice of word? What Yes I Am what?
Uh, I'm just saying, yes, I am part of OSU. I mean, that's my thing. I'm just a part of it on a bunch of different levels.
For sure.
And, that's kind of where the community I want to be a part of. So
Thank you, Kerner, for being with us today. As I mentioned at the beginning, make sure to watch the both episodes. Make sure to watch the both episodes so you all can get a better understanding of how which of the candidates do what, and what are their kind of personality, what do they stand for, what do their campaign means, and all this kind of stuff. So make sure to watch both of them, and at the same time, know that your vote matters a lot. You will be choosing who will be the leading our ASOSU, our student government. So this is a very important vote, and make sure to have your voice heard in this election. So thank you for being with us, Kerner. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, Arman.
And as always, I would love to say, yes, I am.
Yes, I am.